Hello, Governor.
Hey, what's going down, my guy?
Nothing much, man. It's good to be back. Another Friday, another live deep dive.
Yes. This is good. This is going to be an interesting one because we're actually doing a dual stream. Typically, this is one of the shows that has been specifically for your station, for your channel. But this time, we're kind of like sharing the love a little bit on multiple platforms.
Well,
Thank you for allowing this to be on this channel.
Well, the thing I thought about it, and we've been doing the live deep dives only on my channel for like the last 8 weeks. However, you have been my constant co-host over the last 8 weeks, so I figured that this is something that should go out. We've been doing this for 8 weeks on only my channel, and it's been a great run of that. But I figure that because we are co-hosts on doing these deep dives, that it should be on both channels as well, or whatever. Just the thing is, after today's live, so anyone who did not get to catch the live, you will only be able to catch it in my Patreon, or for the entire version, or the edited version, you'll only be able to catch on my YouTube. So, either way, I'm happy to be back doing this again.
Yeah, that part. I'm loving it. So, what are we talking about today, brother?
Today we are covering the what was that? Doctor Who. We are, and it's so crazy how we got here. We are Whovians, so we are covering Doctor Who season 7. Can you believe that? Season 7.
That's moving quick.
Yeah, but this is episode 0. So this is the annual Christmas special, and this one's called The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe, which you may know where that's going, right? And that's clearly a reference, because what was this, 2011? It's clearly a reference to what's the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe?
The Witch and the Wardrobe. That old book. I had to read that in like fifth or sixth grade, somewhere around in there. I remember that.
I never read the books.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I wasn't familiar with that until the movies came out. And then somebody told me, oh, this comes from the books and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. Didn't know anything about it. I didn't. All right. So I call this, basic, can you withstand? Withstand, can you?
Okay.
And I was thinking about how do we deal with adversity? How do you overcome adversity? How do you know what you can withstand? My mom had a saying, and I'm sure like most mothers, most people that you are older people, vintage people that you've heard, it says, God doesn't put more on you than you can withstand. And I was like, when I was a kid, you always used to be like, says who? Who asked? Like, did God ask me what was the strength of my back? Like, how you know how much I can bear? Like this, it seems like, don't put on you more than you can bear. I was like, is it an actual bear? Because it feels like it's hella heavy on my back, And I think too, the crazy thing is, so, for those of you that don't know, I spent 19 years in a classroom as a teacher. And over the years, the amount of children who were not very resilient, who could not overcome adversity and would choose to unalive themselves, increased every year on end. And part of that is, unfortunately, what we make socially acceptable. The things that they see in media and in social media. Instead of thinking or knowing that there's other people out there who are struggling and going through the same things that they're going through, they saw the stories of people who chose, for whatever reason, they chose a way out and thought that was the acceptable choice. So really just dealing with the story of the doctor who's at a particular crossroad in his life. his long 900 plus year life.
Mm.
After everything he's come out of in season 5 and season 6 that we've seen so far, including he's a married man, yet his bride, who is the child of his two best friends, who he kind of cut them because he didn't want to get them killed, but their child, who he saw kidnapped at birth, and then they refound, and he'd been hanging out with her all this time. She just tried to murder him. Like, that is the most convoluted, crazy thing that you could even think of. Like, what?
Mm.
So he's at this crossroads, and then he meets this widow and her two children, and what she's going. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
He's like, yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah. Just a smidge.
Yeah, it's just. He's like, wait a minute, say that again. Say it real slow, but don't ever say that again. Like, yeah, it's crazy. So just thinking about the perspective of the widow, and what she's going through on Christmas, because especially the Christmas specials hold a special place in my heart anyway. A lot of people, usually I've heard people have one of their 3 favorite holidays. It's Christmas, Thanksgiving, or Halloween. Not necessarily in that order. And Halloween, they love the creativity and the imagination runs wild. And Halloween, for most people, is not really about monsters. It's really about that it's a child, especially for adults, to be kids again, where your imagination runs free and you get to dress up. Now, whether you choose a werewolf or a vampire, or you just choose your, Superman, Spider-Man, whatever, it's a chance for you to be a kid again. Not have too many worries. You party, you get some candy, whatever. Mm-hmm. A lot of people love Thanksgiving. It's a time of thanks and thinking about what you're grateful for. It's time of feasting, getting the itis, passing out in front of the TV, watching football. Good stuff. Christmas, though, is supposed to be a time of giving more than receiving. It's supposed to be a time of love and where you see the best in your fellow person. However, there were a couple of choices that were made in this, so I want to go ahead and jump into, let's do a really quick recap of the doctor, the widow, and the wardrobe. And Syntell, by all means, you can jump in here at any time, guy.
Okay. All right, brother. Go for
it. We go back in time a little bit, compared to our modern time. It's Christmas Eve, 1941, so we're in the thick of World War II. Mm-hmm. The doctor is, for whatever reason, he's posing to be the caretaker to Madge Arwell and her kids, Lily and Cyril. And it just so happens that he does this as a favor because Madge helped the doctor find the TARDIS 3 years earlier. There was a little bit of a prequel, one of those kind of mini-sodes that was in between the end of season 6 and this. Okay. And we saw Madge as she helped the doctor find the TARDIS. He misplaced the TARDIS. She helped him find it. So he did this kind of as a favor for her. They go to this house. Someone in their family's passed away. The husband is away on maneuvers. He's in the military. She receives a visit from the military that says that her husband was shot down in combat, and he was killed in action. It is Christmas Eve. The kids are expecting the father to come home for Christmas, and she makes the choice to not tell the kids.
Right.
And I remember when we were watching this, when we were doing the reaction to this, that particular decision became a huge topic of our discussion afterwards, where a lot of people who, if you don't know, Um, the description in the description, you can join the Discord. We have a Discord, and we have a bunch of people. It's a thriving community, and in the Discord, we have a certain section called Watch Us Work. And if you're a member of Syntell's Patreon, you can come and watch us do our reactions live. And the people who are in the Discord who are watching us watch that live, that became a huge topic. Should she have told the kids, or should she have lied to them? And I think many of us could see it both ways. And I think I was of the position that she should have lied to him. And really quick, I'll say it because you never know what you would do in a situation until you're actually put in that situation.
Okay.
So, best laid plans. I can say was it Mike Tyson? What he say? Everybody got
has a plan until you get
hit.
Punched in the face.
Right. Yep. And that is life. Actually, you can have all the best laid plans or whatever. Until you get put in that situation, you don't know how you will react. And the only way that you can react in a way that you want to is through practice, which is why, if you play a sport, if you do something, the more hours you have in to master that thing, the better you will be at that thing. But who can master an emergency situation? We remember things. Usually music puts me in a certain place where I remember things from my childhood, things I haven't thought about in years. But let a particular song come on, it'll transport me back to that time immediately.
Gotta love when that happens. Yeah.
It'll transport me back to like, hold on. It does that. Some holidays have that same effect, and something that is as traumatizing as the death of a loved one, her husband, the kid's father. You drop that on Christmas, the day before Christmas. Christmas is forever marred by that event. It happened. And the mother has to put on all of the fortitude in the world and bear that by herself to at least give the kids one more happy Christmas. She can tell them a couple days after Christmas. Right. When Christmas comes up, then yes, they will be sad because this is when our father, left this mortal coil and he's no longer with us. It happened during this season. But it didn't happen on Christmas Eve. It didn't happen on Christmas Day. And that's what the mother's trying to give them. And for that, I applaud her. Understand, that's not an easy choice at all. It's not an easy choice. But that was just, in my thinking, that was how I thought about it. What about you? Where were you on that?
Yeah, I mean, I was okay with it. I can get the why, because you don't want it to be, a permanent fixture. But for me, if you're going to tell them the day after Christmas, then Christmas is still ruined. So, because they're going to attach the both of them. But at least you can save the actual day and then kind of like deal with the repercussions. To me, I thought what was more interesting was her pushing. It wasn't her pushing off Christmas. Pushing off the reality that their father has passed. To me, in the same space of what was happening, was the doctor overcompensating by creating this overly lavish atmosphere that they were in, like making the rooms all this, that, and the third, and the trees and all this other stuff, because he himself was dealing with a loss, and maybe trying to convince himself that the pain that he's feeling isn't that. And so he was doing that for the kids as well. So those two things I think are linked.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'm not mad at the mom for doing that. I get it, but you're still gonna have to deal with the reality. It's better to rip the Band-Aid off now or rip the Band-Aid off later. Either way, you're still ripping off the Band-Aid. And for the doctor as well, like, you can try and sugarcoat your pain, but your pain is still there. It doesn't leave. You're just putting a rainbow color on a turd. It's still gonna stink.
Yeah, and I think that if it was just her, then she would have dealt with it immediately. Like if it was just her by herself, like say she was married but no kids yet, I think she would just dealt with it and be like, this happened on Christmas. It, rip the Band-Aid off immediately. It's like if you got a letter, it's bad news in a letter. Do you open it? Do you, let it sit for a while? I think she'd have opened it and I think,
I can't lie. I have let letters
hold it
before.
up like I know this a bill.
I know it's a bill, exactly. But the thing is, the bill don't go away though. But that's just it. But
I'm gonna hang out with my 10s and 5s and $1 bills just a little bit longer. Yeah, like so. I think if it was just her, I think she'd have dealt with it. But when it came to the kids, I think especially that particular time of year, I think, listen, if I know that I am going to destroy their entire world, they've not only lost their father, the man that they love, but this particular joyous time of year, I don't want to do that to them. So I'm going to suck it up and watch them smile as they open their presents and, oh, this is from Dad. I wish he was here to tell us. And I think she's just going to let them have this one last thing, before, tomorrow night or the day after, she tell them, your father ain't going to make it back or whatever, I just...
So, I figure, this might sound a little messed up. I think that's also the perfect time to tell them that Santa ain't real too. Like, you might as well just knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm just saying, like, if we gonna be basking in pain, it's like your daddy dead and Santa ain't really the son. Let's just go ahead and get it out.
That's crazy. It's like, and why we at it? Why we at it? You know what I'm saying? You was not playing. You was an accident down by the lake. You're like, oh.
Let's get all these truths out now. Let's just, if it's gonna be a bad day, let's stack it all right now.
Me and your daddy, we didn't want you. We almost left you at the hospital. Like,
you look like your uncle for a reason. Let me just. It's horrible. I know. All right, look, I'm steering this back. We back over.
Why do you think we no longer have milk delivered to the house? Look just like him. Some of that. And what's crazy is, me and at the time, when I was married, my wife, we told our kids, ain't no Santa Claus.
No.
My kids
from the word go?
That.
From like when it was itty bitty, you told them you let it out. Wow. Oh, okay. Yeah. I can't lie. I got jealous of Santa, and I was like, hey, this dude keeps stealing my thunder. I'm like, listen, bro. I got to tell you something real quick. Santa didn't drop that. Your daddy did.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
And it just look at you crazy in the face. You didn't give me this bike. Santa did. You're like, the hell? Santa wasn't here putting that damn bike together for you all night last night. I'm over here, got grease on my damn hands right now. You done made that up. No, you will not give the white man in a red suit all this credit. You done made that. No. Hard as I work to get these damn toys for you. You just in there with the Walmart book, just circling everything. Dad, I want this. I want this. I worked too hard for that. No.
Oh, yo,
no.
That's big facts.
Yeah, Santa got no play in my house. No. No, it's just so. And just to finish this off. So as far as the story goes, and like you said, the doctor was overcompensating. The doctor, there was this huge box, like this huge present that in the Lion, the Witch, the Wardrobe, it was a like a wardrobe, a cabinet in a room. And here it was a huge present in one of the rooms that you went through the present and you went into a mystical land, of woods that was somewhere far in the future, I think it was. And in this particular future, they're in this huge forest. But we figure out there's a lighthouse off to the distance, and we find out that the trees are actually living beings.
Yeah.
and that the entire area is about to be destroyed from an acid rain. An acid rain is coming that will destroy everything. It's just going to eat through everything. And there's some miners, some people that run into Madge, and they run up on her. They're like, "What are you doing in these woods?" Like, "Hey, lady, this whole area is about to be destroyed by acid rain. You need to get out of here right now." And they got like a mech. It gave off like a Pacific Rim type vibe.
Yeah.
And basically, the doctor's in there. He's with the kids. They find the king and queen of the Ents, the wood people, and they don't speak. They're trying to find someone who has the strength to temporarily hold their people so they can get their life forces to safety out in the universe or something.
Yeah, that's
of that nature. Yeah. And they choose the daughter, but she's a child. She's too small. She's not strong enough. They don't choose Cyril, the son. The doctor's like, "Oh, of course it's me. You know what I'm saying? I'm Gallifreyan. I got 2 hearts. It's me. I'm that guy." And they touch him. They're like, "Yeah, no, it's not you." And he's like, "Wait, the hell you mean it's not me? Do you know who I am? Is the doctor. Like, I've done this before. Like, this ain't my first rodeo." And Madge shows up, for her kids, and she's holding the weight of the world and everything. And they're like, "It's you. It is her. You see how strong she is? Do you know what she's dealing with right now?" I was like, "Oh, she must be African American, because you know what I'm saying. That must be a Tuesday. That's a Tuesday for us." But they pick Madge, and she has the strength, she has the fortitude to, foster their people, to get them off world, to get them to a new planet. And I guess the doctor uses the TARDIS to find them a new safe planet with no acid rain or whatever. Christmas is saved. Oh, and by the way, on the TARDIS, they find some portal, some lights, a plane follows it, and then, hey, what do you know? The father, some miracle happened, a miracle on 34th Street, and he follows it got wild as shit at the end. I was like,
they're like, "We're gonna make you smile at the end of this."
Like, hold on, what kind of mushrooms is on this burger? Am I high? Like, what the hell? It got wild. It was fun. It was actually a very nice episode. And of course, the father is saved. Madge figures out that the doctor is the person that she helped a few years back or whatever, and she kind of figured out why he was there or what have you. And very nice. It's keeping in tradition with the Christmas episodes, even though it's as far as the continuity of what we have going on, it's a very strange episode, and it doesn't really fit, but it's actually a really good episode. Strange, but it's really good. Yeah. But the whole time, like I said, I zoned in on the adversity that Madge was going through. And even like you said, to your point, to the doctor earlier, and I just think, how do we know how strong we actually are? Like, do you have to be in the midst of trauma? Do you have to be in the midst of an emergency? Do you have to be in the midst of a crisis for you to find out the type of strength and intestinal fortitude that you have? I just thought that was an interesting question that maybe we can explore a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, off the top of my head, yes. Because you don't know until you've been tested. A lot of times, we can coast through life, and then you get beat over the head with something unexpected. A loss is a big one that kind of does it. And you have to transform into something else. And then especially if you're dealing with something that affects other people, and you have to be the strength if you're a parent, or or the sister for an ailing sibling or whatever it is, you have to be strong, and you don't know that because those things, if you're fortunate enough, those things are so far off that you're not normally tested like that. But you can never really truly understand who you are until you've had your metal tested. So yeah, I don't think you are strong until you've had to encounter it. Up until then, it's just a mystery. That's at least that's how I see it from my own personal experience.
No, and you're right. I just, while you were talking, I thought of something, and I know that sometimes we get on these lives and I share a bit of my personal story, my personal journey, and I it's funny how I didn't even think of this that adversity from my own angle. I So when I was I guess when I was in 8th grade, at the end of my 8th grade year, um, my parents had gone through a extremely ugly, very public, very ugly divorce. Um, and my father was an officer in the military, which made it even worse. All of this broke down. We were living in Germany at the time, and their entire relationship, their marriage fell apart. And I ended up in Kentucky, where my mom is originally from. After all the divorce proceedings, the marriage is finally over, and it is deemed my mom has custody, but my dad has the rights to see his sons at holidays and for the summer. He
Okay.
still lived. He was still living, still serving in Germany at the time.
Okay.
So the end of my 8th grade year, he said, it's his turn to have his sons, me and my younger brother, and we were going to stay with him in Germany for the summer. Me and my doing it live.
You never know what you're gonna get when you go live, man. That's the beauty of it.
One of those wonderful Fridays when the kids are out of school. So, me and my mom fell out. Now, like I said, I'm 8th grade, so I'm 13, 14 years old. Me and my mom fell out because I was like, kind of, it's funny. We just got through talking about this, like we were watching Game of Thrones. And I was like, hey, have you met that man? Like, do you not know who you dealing with? Like, you want it to be this way, but it's the other way. You know where that came from.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, okay, well, you know what, Mom? It's been nice knowing you. You're never going to see us again, but, do what you do. Follow what the court say. Now, I'm young, teenager, and I think I know every damn thing. Needless to say, I was right. My dad did effectively kidnap us. And we got to Germany, and he conveniently lost our passports and told my mom, I'm not sending them back. Screw you, lady. It's my kids.
Ouch.
Yeah, it's not like, you live in one city and you drive 2 hours to the other city to go pick up your boys, drive to another state. Nah. We lived across oceans.
Wow.
And we were gone in that situation for over 2 years. And whatever, it ended, and that's a whole different conversation altogether. It ended, and I came back basically to begin my junior year of school. So everything in between I missed.
Wow.
And when we returned, it took a long time. Me and my mother did not have the same relationship anymore. I was no longer a kid, because I don't even want to go into talk about the abuses I suffered at the hands of my father while we were gone. I was furious, mad at my mother for so many years, that I was right. And it wasn't until I got therapy, until I got much older, that I realized that about what is in your control. My mom couldn't control that. The courts ordered we had to go. We had to go. That wasn't her fault. But as a teenager, it didn't make me any less angry.
Right.
Didn't make me any less, having someone to blame. I blame my mom for all the stuff that my dad did to us, because you're the mom. It was your job to shield us, to save us. You knew what the hell was going to happen. And she probably did, but there was nothing that she could do about it. And then when we got home, as a mother, she was just glad to have her boys back home safe with her. But we weren't the same people that came back that left. And it took me a very long time to work through that. And, it wasn't until my second divorce that I started to work through these issues in therapy that I had that went all the way back to that shit. And that's what I was talking about, about adversity. And I don't want to talk about this shit too long, because, I'm going to have to call my therapist as usual on Fridays, and call my therapist as soon as we get off here. Like, hey, damn Syntell that made my eyes leak again. Some of them a bit, anyway. My dude, I love my quotes. I love my quotes. So, and I think it's poignant, since we're talking about World War II, Winston Churchill says that success consists of going from failure to failure without the loss of enthusiasm.
I like that.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, that is a bar. And when I talk about adversity, a lot of times when you play sports, when you do things, you're out here in the world trying to be successful, we think of adversity or these obstacles that are put in your way to keep you from succeeding. A lot of times we don't put that type of adversity in the same category with things that we go through on a personal level, relationship-wise, familiar-wise. Okay. To us, those are two different things, but really they're not. Failure to failure without the loss of enthusiasm may mean you trying to communicate with a loved one who is not receptive. Okay. You tried to talk to them, they won't talk. Okay, I failed. You tried to get through to them and, hey, let's get on the same page, and you failed. But how long before you become cynical and be like, well, shit, you don't want to talk about it? I don't want to talk about it. Whatever. We done? We done then. All right then. You know what I'm saying? Are we finished? Are we done? And sometimes if you had the same enthusiasm you did when you were pursuing that person, maybe you could get through to them. I don't know. Yeah. I have zero relationship with my father now. But it's not for lack of trying. And I just, for everything that he did to my mom, which another thing I had to find out in therapy, that I held a grudge and held a lot of my mom's feelings towards him. I held on to them like they were mine. They weren't. I wasn't in a relationship. They was. Right. But then you unpack that and find out, okay, well, I just put the way that I felt about him and all the shit that he actually did to me, I put it on top of all the shit that he did to my mama, and I saw it firsthand. So once I moved her stuff out the way and now my stuff is front and center, I was like, okay, well, now I got to deal with this, And then you take from that, it's like, okay, now we move that out the way. Oh, okay, well, what just fell in? All the stuff that you took from your father and how you've applied that to your wife and your kids. And it's like, ah, shit. Right. You can really take all my money, ain't you? Oh, shit. It's like, I done built how many wings onto your house?
Well, you had posed the question earlier, stating that do your experiences make you stronger? Do you have to have these bad experiences to make you stronger? Is there a counterpoint to that? Can those experiences make you weaker?
Absolutely. I believe that they can. And when we bring in the other people on stage, I would
Yeah.
love to hear from them on that. I think they can. I think they can. But to your point, you set a bar right there. And I think that there are a couple of steps, small things that you can do to prevent that.
Okay.
Because I think that's exactly what we do. We allow these experiences to make us weaker. Um, I didn't realize it until I started going through therapy. Um, Something I used to say to my students, and I didn't realize it until I was going through therapy, that it was something that I was saying but not living.
Okay.
That you can either deal with life, or life is going to deal with you.
Mm.
And I think that's kind of one of those things that you let adversity shape your life, and you are always reactive instead of proactive.
Okay.
I've heard a number of people, and I have been one of those people that always complain about what life is doing to me. Life is, I woke up today, but life is whooping my ass, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. It's just, and I got today, I got my own list of troubles and my own list of hardships. But I do realize and understand today too that I got the opportunity to wake up today to try to do something about it.
Okay.
And that makes a world of difference. I didn't wake up and it's like, oh my God, I don't even want to be awake. I don't want to deal with this shit. Yeah. Okay. You're awake. Deal with it. Do something about it. And part of that is you have to be able to self-reflect. You have to be able to look at your situation for what it is, assess your strengths, your weaknesses, learn from your past experiences. That's that. You're gonna have to be able to gradually push your boundaries.
Okay.
The only way for you to grow is to stay aware of your mental state. You have to know what your stressors are. You have to know what your triggers are. Do what you can to stay away from those things that are going to trigger you. Listen to your body. Listen to it. It'll tell you. It'll warn you. If you one of people that ignore your damn spidey sense going off, listen, that's on you. You must like being in trouble, because that's not that's not normal. A big one is to seek support from others when you need it.
Okay.
A lot of times we get into these places and we like to isolate, and it's not someone else isolate. We isolate ourselves.
That's me.
You're like, don't nobody want to hear my bullshit, and they don't want to hear me complain and shit. And sometimes, you get those people like, hey, everything all right? You good?
Yeah.
And especially, I don't know about women, can't speak for them, but I know as men, listen, we'll hit you with the, nah, I'm good, I'm fine. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. You know what I'm saying? We ain't fine. Something is wrong. And you'll have those people that ask you and don't really mean it. Like when they be like, you okay? You won't talk about it? They don't really mean that. But a lot of times, if you know the people that you keep in your circle, there are people that actually are reaching out to you. Hey, are you good? You want to talk about it? Let's talk it through. If you have a therapist, that's exactly what the hell you should be doing. And I am blessed enough to have a few people that will say that and mean it, and I can actually, not unload on them. Not I just start crying on the phone or nothing, but it's just, this is how I'm feeling. This is what I'm going through right now, and they, help talk you off the ledge or whatever.
I hear that.
You have to be able to acknowledge that your capacity for what you can deal with will fluctuate depending on the circumstances. I wake up and have good days, and it's a good day. And what I can deal with today might be a lot because I'm having a good day. And then I can wake up and today is the worst day ever, and I really don't want to talk to a whole lot of people. I really don't want to, you know what I'm saying? And my trigger is like that. I can't deal today
Right.
or whatever. You have to know. There are some days where I talk to my ex-wife and it's like, okay,
Mm.
okay, cool. And there's some days that listen, listen, I gotta get off this phone. I feel a cussing in my spirit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got to get off this phone. I can't talk to you, lady. Um, and it be like that sometimes. And last but not least, you know what I'm saying? Prioritize your self-awareness.
Okay.
Prioritize you. Sometimes it's got to be about you. Uh, Again, I'm speaking only for men. As men, our job, most people think our job is to be protectors, and we're supposed to take care of everyone else. And sometimes taking care of ourselves, we put ourselves on the back burner. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you have to be aware of what it is that you need, that you got to take care of you. You can't take care of anybody else if you're not taking care of you.
Mm.
And as a man, you don't got to say yes all the damn time. Learn a no. Be strong. Be forceful with your no. Say a no with your chest. Because sometimes do not be afraid to step back from whatever it is if it's necessary.
Yeah.
It's not about letting other people down. It's not about doing shit you don't want to do. And this may even be in those places that it's hard for you at work, where your boss always come up with some bullshit at 5 o'clock when it's time to clock out.
Yeah.
Say no. Deal with whatever the consequences of that. But you know what I'm saying? If it's that hard and you think you're going to get fired, that ain't the job for you any damn way.
Mm.
Say no in your relationship. And people will, they'll try to hold you hostage or make you guilty, but that's manipulation. Recognize that. Don't allow yourself to be manipulated. Take some time for you. I'm done. I'm done. I think this is going to be an interesting conversation. Go on.
I'm curious as to because I know we got a couple of guests that we want to bring to the stage. Am I speaking a little out of turn on that one?
Absolutely not, sir.
Yeah. I just wanted to add a couple of more big brains to the conversation, and see what magic we can pull from this conversation. I wanted to invite Love first.
Okay.
These are members of the community, and we also want to invite Snide on as well.
Absolutely.
There we go. So first off, thank you all for joining. And before we get started, I just want to make sure, because we have some people that are just now coming in, and you may be seeing a stream on the Syntell channel as well. Listen, this is also a moment to introduce you to Rakai's channel on his YouTube page. This is live over there as well. So if you do have time, head on over there, hit that subscription button, and you can continue the live stream from his side of things. Just to give you all the heads up. Snide, Love, we're over here talking about, strength through loss, dealing with, in parallel to a Doctor Who episode where there was the Doctor, the Witch in the Wardrobe. We're just curious as to what your thoughts are regarding your own personal experiences, or how it equates to the episode that we watched. In case you didn't know, the both of them are fellow Whovians as well.
I'll let you go first, Snide. So honestly, for me, just from my own personal experience, I can say that I have been tested both mentally and physically. Physically in the military, because you truly don't believe that you can get through 3 months worth of pure hazing and people yelling at you for no reason. But then in the end, you get up and you're just like, oh, that was it? What was I scared? Okay, whatever. And then obviously growing up with parents who were addicted to drugs, it's just one of those things to where I do believe sometimes you're kind of born with that kind of stuff. Because my mom did say that I was hard-headed from the day that I popped out. So she knew that if it was my brother versus me, she would have had a bigger problem because I was a lot more resilient. And so she was able to actually tell me certain things that she couldn't tell anyone else. It may seem a bit out there, but you couldn't lie to me as a kid. If you're walking out the door and I'm like, hey, where are you going? If my mom did not tell me the truth, no joke, she legitimately had to tell me, I have to go get some stuff to tide myself over. Can you please just stop asking questions? Because it's making me look bad right now. And so I do genuinely feel like as a person, some different people are kind of born, kind of with that intestinal fortitude. But I do definitely think your experiences and how you react to certain things is what's going to shape if you're able to handle things that life throws at you.
Mm.
Because even if you've never gone through something before, um, you can still be able to come out of it, you know. And it to me it does seem it's just out of reach, just personally for me, for those who can't get over certain things, like when you were saying, Rakai, how certain students were unfortunately unaliving themselves because they just couldn't figure out any other way out or have that support system to be able to talk out these feelings and stuff like that. And so, like, for me, that was happening in the military too. And in my head, I just could not understand how people could get that far where their best thing, like the best solution is just to end it all. But as I got older, getting myself in certain situations, even though I don't believe I've ever hit genuinely rock bottom, I don't believe that. But being super close, I can see. I can see how sometimes you just maybe not want to end it, but you want to break.
Mm.
And the only way at that one point in time to get a break is to quiet the world.
Mm.
And so I can see how people can get that far.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, love. I understand a lot of those, and it's funny when you said that. Again, just sometimes how you think about yourself in relation to some of these things, you don't think about it, because I forgot my time in basic training. Listen, you don't talk about adversity. That was it right there. Basic training. Shit, I was the worst soldier to the history of the military in basic training. Oh God, that was one place I did not want to be. I didn't want to do none of that. And rebellious doesn't even begin to speak about my time in basic training. But I went from being straight Beetle Bailey to the end of AIT. You know what I'm saying? I was a valedictorian of the class. Like,
Wow.
I went from being Beetle Bailey to Rambo, and in a few weeks. So it just, it's how you deal with stuff, how you respond to stuff. I remember, and like Love said, you never know how you're going to deal with something. I did not believe in depression. I did not believe in depression. I thought, people that got depressed it's just one of those things. Like, I don't know how it happens. People get depressed for whatever reason, because I was always kind of, glass half full kind of person. I just, and even all the stuff that I dealt with, I was talking about, I would repress and just, I kept it moving. And it wasn't, I guess, until, the floodgates started to open, and I guess I finally hit my wall. And I don't know if it was rock bottom or not, but I finally hit my wall once I got divorced. My first divorce hit me hard, but I kept it moving. And then by the time, I had all the symptoms of real deal depression. And I thought I was supposed to dress in all black and listen to, emo music or whatever. I didn't know. I was like, listen, I got on colors. I'm not depressed. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really thought that dumb shit until I figured out that that's not what it was. And I finally understood, wow, that is not my bag. I cannot unalive myself. Can't. Just my personal beliefs, and and I absolutely used to be a pretty I was never vain, but I was extremely confident in me. But I finally understood how people could get to that place. Like, I got to a place I was like, yeah, I get it. I see how people could be like, yeah, today is the last day. Let me go and sit down and write this note to
Mm.
whoever need to see it. Like I saw it, and it's almost like and this is gonna sound crazy. I felt like the master. Remember, the master was staring into the abyss,
Mm-hmm.
and he could hear the music, and it was driving him insane because he
Mm-hmm.
could. It was almost like that, like staring into the abyss, and it was just that constant thing that's like, hey, come on in, it's better on this side, and it drive you insane,
Mm.
to me, that's what it felt like, and I was just like, hell no.
No.
And it's a hard place to battle out of, and while I still get deeply depressed to this day, it's not been that bad again. I've able to celebrate more of the wins than the losses. So it's been better, you know. I know you have something wonderful to add to this conversation, Snide.
I've not really had issues with depression. My issue has always been anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I'm the wrong person to in this discussion.
No, because my depression led to anxiety, and like I said, we're talking about adversity. So one person's adversity may be different than your adversity, but adversity can affect us all in a myriad of different ways. So so I would love to hear about it.
Anxiety is interesting because it's the fear of something that hasn't happened yet, and you're constantly in a hyper vigilant state, and it's debilitating, and sometimes you can sit there and you can think, you're paranoid and things boil over and things can tick and tick and tick and tick. But you need to learn mindfulness exercises, and you need to learn to take a step back, and you need to ground yourself.
But I do want to say, and I got into all this because I do want to say that I'm inviting everyone to the Discord. And if you have a few dollars to spend and maybe you would like to see the extra things that we get into, you should invest in Syntell. That way that you can see the watch us work when we're doing stuff on the Discord, when we're doing live reactions. And I'm trying to provide better value to the people in my Patreon, so you can get in there as well. But I do want to thank everyone who has showed up today. If you do want to see this thing in its entirety, it will be on my Patreon. I'm going to edit this down a little bit so that you get part of our full-on discussion all together, and most of our discussion when it was just myself and Syntell, and that will be up on my YouTube page. I do want to thank everyone from coming, and as I always say, it's got to be about this, but even more importantly, it's got to be about this. All of you, thank you, chefs.
Thank you.
I want to say goodbye, and we will see y'all next week.
Peace.